I remember the first day in the courtroom as if it were yesterday. The smell of polished wood, the faint echo of footsteps, the hush that fell over the room as the judge entered. I was just another juror, or so I thought, until I saw him. The defendant sat there, staring at the proceedings with a calm that made my stomach twist. Then I realized, it wasn't calm. It was knowing. It was as if he could see past the surface, into the recesses of my mind. A subtle tilt of his head, a small, almost imperceptible smirk, and I froze. My thoughts weren't private anymore. Over the next few days, I noticed the smallest things. Every time I tried to focus, every time I weighed evidence in my mind, I could feel it, his attention. Not on the case, not on the law, but on me. And I knew that somewhere in that measured, calm demeanor, he was watching for the slightest flicker of doubt, the smallest hesitation. I began second-guessing everything I thought. It wasn't paranoia. It was certainty. During one session, he glanced at me as if he could read every word forming in my head. I tried to shift in my seat, tried to focus on the witness, on the papers in front of me, but no matter where I looked, I felt the weight of his awareness pressing down. Every breath, every blink, I felt like an open book, and he held the only key. Night after night, I found myself lying awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every glance, every inflection. I couldn't escape him. Even at home, the images haunted me. His presence lingered at the edges of my mind, subtle but unmistakable. The courtroom had ended for the day, but the trial had never left me. Evidence days were the worst. As documents were passed around, as testimonies were given, I could feel his focus tighten on me. The way he shifted in his seat, just slightly, the smallest tightening of his jaw, I knew it wasn't coincidence. He was aware of my reactions, of my judgments, of my doubts, and he knew exactly how to push them. During a recess, I tried to avoid looking at him, but he found me anyway. The eyes. The intensity. Even when I closed mine and turned away, I could feel his attention like a pressure on my thoughts. My own mind was no longer my own. Every opinion, every instinct, was being quietly scrutinized. I began noticing small signs in myself. Hesitation, overthinking, doubts I had never had before. It wasn't just the case, it was me. And I realized that he was using something deeper than observation. He wasn't just watching me, he was reading me, predicting my judgments, almost shaping them. The weight of that awareness was suffocating. One afternoon, I caught him smiling faintly, and I knew, it was in response to my thoughts. A fleeting moment, barely noticeable, but unmistakable. A small victory that wasn't about the trial, not about the law, but about me. He knew I had noticed. And for the first time, I understood the danger of being observed in this way. Every interaction became a test. Every glance, every movement, a conversation I could not control. I realized I was no longer judging the case. I was guarding my mind. Every thought was measured, every reaction analyzed before it left me. The courtroom was no longer a place of law, it was a battlefield of mental awareness. During a break in deliberations, I found myself outside, leaning against the wall, trying to steady my thoughts. I wondered if anyone else had felt it, if anyone else had noticed. But I couldn't ask. How could I explain that the defendant could know my thoughts? The idea seemed absurd, but I couldn't deny the evidence of my own mind. Closing arguments came, and the intensity didn't fade. Every word, every pause, every emphasis from attorneys seemed amplified, as if he could anticipate my reactions before I even had them. The courtroom's air felt heavier, every shadow lengthened, and I could feel my focus being dissected in real time. During jury deliberations, I sat quietly, observing my fellow jurors, but always aware of him. Even here, where I expected some reprieve, I couldn't relax. Every thought about the evidence, every internal argument, was accompanied by the sense that he could follow it, that he could anticipate my vote, that he could shape the outcome through me. I found myself gripping the edge of the table, knuckles white, heart racing. Each juror's voice sounded distant compared to the hum of his attention. He wasn't speaking. He didn't need to. The mere knowledge that he could hear me mentally, predict my decisions, was a quiet terror I could not escape. The judge announced the verdict. Every sense sharpened, every breath felt magnified. He remained calm, collected, eyes fixed, and I knew it was deliberate. His awareness of me hadn't wavered, and in that instant, I realized that the trial's outcome was only part of the story. He had already won in a far deeper sense. As the courtroom emptied, he walked past me, close enough that I could feel his presence. I couldn't see him smile, but I felt it. I felt the acknowledgement of my fear, my awareness of him, and my helplessness. The weight of his knowledge lingered long after the room was empty. Weeks later, at home, I still felt it. A pressure, a subtle tug at the edges of my thoughts. I tried to dismiss it, tried to move on, but the awareness persisted. The idea that someone could know you so completely, anticipate every judgment, and remain unseen, it's not something you forget. Even walking in crowded streets, I sensed it. A glance here, a fleeting shadow there. Was it him? Could he still know what I was thinking? The paranoia isn't over because the trial is over. The fear is in the knowledge itself, that someone can access your mind without leaving a trace. Every interaction became a test of thought. Could I think freely without him knowing? Could I make a decision without feeling his gaze in my mind?